was never supposed to be the one running from my own life. But there I was, heart pounding, legs burning, sprinting down the rain-slicked streets of San Francisco as my car erupted in a fireball behind me. The explosion lit up the night, a deafening roar that shook the glass of my penthouse windows and sent shards of my meticulously planned existence scattering like ash. My Tesla, my pride and joy, was now a twisted heap of metal, flames licking the sky, and I was alive by sheer dumb luck. I'd stepped out to grab my phone charger from the trunk when I noticed the faint smell of gasoline and a strange ticking under the hood. Instinct kicked in, and I bolted just as the blast threw me forward, singeing the back of my jacket. Sirens wailed in the distance, neighbors screamed from their balconies, but all I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears and a single chilling thought: someone wants me dead. I'm Emily Carter, 30 years old, CTO of Horizon Innovations, one of Silicon Valley's fastest-growing AI cybersecurity firms. I'm the woman who clawed her way from a suffocating suburban Seattle childhood to the top of the tech world, the one who's supposed to have it all together career, love, life. I'm engaged to Liam, the kind of man who builds AI startups from scratch and still makes time to cook me breakfast. We were planning a chic, understated wedding in Napa Valley, a 60-0 celebration for 75 of our closest friends and family. Nothing like the gaudy extravaganzas my mother, Victoria, worships. But that night, as I crouched behind a dumpster, watching my car burn and scanning the shadows for whoever rigged it, I realized my carefully constructed world was unraveling. Someone had targeted me, and the list of suspects was longer than I wanted to admit. Growing up in Seattle's Queen Anne neighborhood, in a creaky craftsman house with peeling green paint, wasn't exactly a fairy tale. My mother, Victoria, was the queen of appearances, a socialite who threw lavish parties to impress neighbors while obsessing over wealth and status. Her perfectly styled blonde bob and designer heels were her armor, but her sharp tongue was her weapon. She ruled our home like a dictator, every decision filtered through her need to keep up with the Joneses. My father, James, a mid-level bank manager with tired eyes and a permanent slump, was her reluctant enabler. He'd promised to fix the leaky roof or repaint the house every summer, but those promises dissolved under Victoria's demands for new furniture or a better car to flaunt at her charity galas. Dad's spine was about as sturdy as wet cardboard, and I learned early that expecting him to stand up to her was like expecting rain to stop falling in Seattle. Then there was my sister, Chloe, 3 years younger, and Victoria's golden child. Chloe inherited Dad's soft hazel eyes and carefree charm, floating through life with a C- GPA and a social calendar packed with parties. I had Mom's angular features and analytical mind, but where I earned straight A's and captained the math team, Chloe was the one who got standing ovations for showing up. Why can't you be more like your sister? Victoria would snap when I stayed late for coding club, her manicured nails tapping impatiently. When Chloe joined the cheer squad, Victoria became the ultimate team mom, never missing a game, while my debate victories were met with a distracted, "That's nice, Emily." Love in our house was a currency, and Chloe always got the better exchange rate. I was 15 when I started planning my escape. Victoria wanted me to attend a local community college to save money for Chloe's future, but I had bigger dreams. I spent nights hunched over my ancient Dell laptop, applying to MIT in secret, my heart racing every time I heard Mom's heels clicking down the hall. When the acceptance letter arrived, with a partial scholarship no less, I hid it under my mattress for a week, terrified of the fallout. The day I showed it to my parents, Victoria's face turned to stone. "Who's going to pay for this?" she demanded, waving the letter like it was a personal insult. "We've been saving for Chloe's education." That was the moment I realized the game was rigged. My future was always going to be an afterthought. "I'll pay for it myself," I said, my voice shaking but resolute. And I did. MIT was brutal, a pressure cooker of sleepless nights and relentless competition. I funded it with a patchwork of scholarships, student loans, and coding gigs for startups, often pulling all-nighters to debug code for clients while studying for exams. My classmates partied on weekends. I was building apps for Silicon Valley execs or tutoring undergrads for extra cash, but every sleepless night was a brick in the foundation of my independence. My grandmother, Margaret, was my lifeline through those years. A retired software engineer who'd coded mainframes in the 70s, she saw the same fire in me. "You're unstoppable, Emily," she'd say during our weekly calls, her voice crackling with pride. "Don't let anyone dim your light." When she passed during my senior year, I was gutted. Her 100 inheritance, tucked into a trust with a note, "For your dreams, whatever they may be," became my secret weapon, a safety net I never told my family about. After graduation, I landed a junior developer role at a San Francisco tech firm. But I didn't stop there. I climbed the ranks, jumping to Horizon Innovations, where I now lead AI-driven cybersecurity solutions for Fortune 500 clients. My office overlooks the bay, a daily reminder of how far I've come from that creaky Seattle house. At a Silicon Valley Tech Summit 3 years ago, I met Liam. He wasn't like the usual tech bros, all swagger and stock options. Tall, with tousled dark hair and eyes that sparkled with ideas, he asked me about ethical AI over a glass of overpriced Pinot Noir. "Most people here just chase funding," he said. "You seem like you actually care about the impact." 2 years of dating confirmed he was my match-driven, grounded, and allergic to the kind of status games my mother lived for. When he proposed on a foggy morning hike in Marin, with no audience or Instagram moment, I knew I'd found my person. Our wedding plans were us in a nutshell. A 60-0 Napa Valley ceremony, intimate and elegant, with 75 guests and a focus on meaning over flash. Victoria, predictably, scoffed. "A vineyard? How quaint," she said, her voice dripping with disdain as she examined my sapphire engagement ring. "Chloe's wedding will be iconic." Chloe, my reckless charming sister, had just gotten engaged to Ethan, a crypto influencer with a flashy smile and a shadier reputation. Their Malibu estate wedding was shaping up to be a 6-figure spectacle, and Victoria was all in, gushing about Ethan's old money family while glossing over his failing crypto ventures. I smelled trouble from a mile away, but family obligations have a way of pulling you back in, like quicksand you can't see until you're sinking. The first warning came weeks before Chloe's engagement party, when I started getting anonymous texts. "You think you're untouchable, but you're not." Cryptic, chilling, and untraceable. They came from burner numbers, always at odd hours. I chalked it up to a disgruntled competitor. Tech is a cutthroat world, but the messages grew darker, hinting at personal details only someone close would know. "Your family's watching you. So are we." My paranoia spiked, but I kept it from Liam, not wanting to worry him. Dr. Rachel Lee, my therapist, urged me to take it seriously. "You've built a life that threatens someone's status quo," she said, her calm voice grounding me. "Set boundaries, Emily, and trust your instincts." Rachel had been helping me untangle the knots of my family's dysfunction for years, teaching me to recognize Victoria's manipulation tactics. Guilt trips, wrapped in maternal concern, demands disguised as love. Sophie, my best friend since MIT, was less diplomatic. Over coffee in the Mission District, she laid it out plain. "Your mum's setting you up, Em. That engagement party in Seattle? It's a shakedown. Chloe's fiancé is a broke crypto bro, and Victoria's banking on your money to save face." I sighed, twisting my engagement ring. "Maybe, but I have to go. They're still my family." Sophie's eyes narrowed. Take Liam. Don't walk into that snake pit alone. I nodded, but Liam had a critical investor pitch for his startup that weekend. I'll be fine, I told her, faking confidence. I'm a grown woman who can say no. Sophie's skeptical look said it all. Promise me you'll bail if it gets toxic. Your sanity's worth more than their drama. The nightmares started a week later. In them, I was trapped in our old Seattle house, walls closing in, Victoria's voice booming until I woke up gasping. I should have been obsessing over wedding detail-stuffing menus, floral arrangements, but instead, I was dreading Chloe's engagement party, feeling like that insecure teenager again, not the CTO who'd just secured a $50 million contract. Liam kissed me goodbye the morning I flew to Seattle. Call me if you need backup, he said, half joking. I can be there in 2 hours if my pitch wraps early. I've got this, I replied, more to convince myself. It's just one weekend. I had no idea how wrong I was. The drive to my parents' newly remodeled Queen Anne mansion was a time warp. The neighborhood hadn't changed. Same cedar trees, same foggy drizzle, but the house was unrecognizable. Fresh paint, a new roof, marble countertops gleaming through the windows. James's bank salary couldn't cover this. Victoria's fingerprints were all over it. Dad greeted me with an awkward hug, his grey hair thinner than I remembered. Good to see you, kiddo, he said, taking my suitcase. Your mum's been planning this party like it's the Met Gala. The house smelled like lavender and ambition, but the air was heavy with tension. Chloe bounded down the stairs, all blonde curls and Chanel perfume. Em, you made it? Her hug felt real, but our history made me wary. Wait till you meet Ethan. He's a dream. Ethan, conveniently, was absent, networking with some crypto bigwigs, according to Chloe. Her nonchalance set off alarm bells. Dinner that night was a masterclass in Victoria's passive aggression. Over roasted lamb, she grilled me about my little vineyard wedding while waxing poetic about Chloe's Malibu plans. It's going to be iconic, she said, sipping her Pinot Grigio. Ethan's family has connections. James nodded absently, his usual tactic to avoid conflict. I kept my answers short, focusing on my plate, but I caught Chloe and Victoria exchanging glances. Later, while washing dishes, I overheard them in the pantry. You said she'd help with the costs, Chloe whined, her voice petulant. She will, Victoria replied, smooth as silk. The venue needs 20-0 by next week. Don't worry, sweetheart. I know how to handle Emily. My stomach twisted. Sophie was right, this was a setup. The next morning, the mansion buzzed with caterers and decorators transforming the backyard into a scene straight out of Vogue. Imported orchids, a 10-0 champagne tower, a live jazz band Victoria had pulled out all the stops. I helped arrange tables, keeping my head down, but the anonymous texts kept coming. You can't hide forever. My hands shook as I set out place cards, scanning the crowd for unfamiliar faces. Ethan finally showed up at noon, all slick hair and tailored swagger. The famous sister, he said, his hug too tight, his eyes lingering on my smartwatch. Chloe talks about you non-stop. His tone was too polished, like a salesman sizing up a mark. His crypto bro friends didn't help, tossing out comments about marrying up and Ethan's lucky catch. One of them, 3 whiskeys deep, leaned in close. Ethan's got debts piling up. Good thing he's got you in the family now, huh? I forced a smile, my skin crawling. As guests arrived, I mingled on autopilot, shaking hands with Ethan's parents, who seemed tense, their smiles tight. Chloe speaks highly of your tech skills, Mrs. Larson said, her tone oddly pointed. I nodded, distracted by a server offering me a cocktail. I took a sip, then froze me vision blurred, my head swimming. I set the glass down, heart racing. Had someone spiked it, I excused myself to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, Rachel's breathing exercises barely keeping me grounded. You're Emily Carter, I whispered to my reflection. You've got this. But the pit in my stomach said otherwise. By 3 p.m., the party was in full swing. The backyard a glittering fantasy of crystal and flowers. Chloe and Ethan made their grand entrance, her in a 5-0 sequined gown, him in a suit that screamed, "Trying too hard." Chloe grabbed a microphone, her voice bubbly. Ethan and I have big news about our wedding. She detailed a Malibu estate ceremony, a custom Vera Wang gown, a celebrity DJ, and a month-long Bali honeymoon. My jaw clenched with each extravagant detail. This wasn't a wedding. It was a financial train wreck. We're so grateful for our family's support, Chloe said, her eyes locking on mine. They know this day is an investment in our future. Victoria raised her glass. To Chloe and Ethan, may your dreams come true with a little help from those who love you. The toast felt like a spotlight, and I was the target. I was plotting my exit when Victoria cornered me by the dessert table. Emily, darling, a quick word. Her smile was all teeth as she led me to Dad's study, closing the door. Isn't this perfect for Chloe? She gushed, gesturing to the party. She's found her soulmate. I nodded warily. About their wedding, she continued, adjusting a photo of Chloe. The Larsons hit a rough patch financially. Temporary, of course. But Chloe deserves her dream day. Here it came. How much? I asked, voice flat. Victoria's eyes lit up. Just 100, 0 for now. Maybe more for the honeymoon. The number hit like a punch. That's double my wedding budget, I said. Liam and I are buying a house. I can't. Victoria's face hardened. Your little vineyard thing can wait. Chloe needs this. You're a tech hotshot now, Emily. Don't be selfish. Selfish? I snapped. I put myself through MIT. I built my career from nothing. I'm not bankrolling Chloe's fantasy. Victoria's voice turned icy. After all we've done for you, the home we gave you, the opportunities. You mean the bare minimum of parenting? I shot back. I've been on my own since I was 18. Her eyes blazed. You've always been ungrateful. Chloe's happiness is on the line, and you're too busy counting your millions to care. I moved for the door. This conversation's over, but Victoria wasn't done. She stormed after me, past gawking guests, and into the main party area. Everyone! She shouted, silencing the crowd. My daughter, the big tech star, has something to say. Chloe rushed over, confused. Mom, what's going on? Victoria's voice dripped venom. Emily refuses to help with your wedding. She'd rather hoard her money than support her sister. Murmurs rippled through the guests. Chloe's face crumpled. Is that true? I felt cornered, my cheeks burning. Chloe, let's talk privately. Victoria cut in. There's nothing to discuss. She's got millions but won't spare a dime for family. I shook my head, voice trembling. I have my own wedding, my own life. It's not fair to guilt me into this. Victoria's face contorted. Always about you, Emily. You'd let Chloe's dreams crash because you're too selfish to share. Before I could respond, Victoria lunged for a steaming pot of tea on the refreshment table. Time slowed as she hurled it at me, the scalding liquid hitting my face and arms. I screamed, pain searing through me like wildfire, my vision blurring as tea soaked my dress. The crowd gasped, some rushing forward, others frozen in shock. Chloe covered her mouth, whimpering. Mom, what did you do? Victoria shrieked. Look what you made me do, Emily. You've ruined everything. I stumbled back, clutching my burning face, humiliation mixing with agony. Someone handed me a napkin. Another guided me to a chair. Through tears, I saw Chloe whining. Mom, everyone's leaving. You've wrecked my party. Then Liam burst through the front door. His pitch must have ended early. He took one look at meteor-soaked, trembling, burns blooming red on my skin, and his calm demeanour shattered. Emily! He knelt beside me, gently tilting my face. What happened? Are you okay? Victoria switched to her socialite charm. as if nothing had happened. Liam, just a family spat that got heated. Emily was being difficult about Chloe's wedding, and I lost my temper. Liam's eyes darkened, his voice low and dangerous. You threw boiling tea at her because she wouldn't pay for a wedding. Victoria backpedaled. It was an accident, a moment of passion. Emily knows how important this is. Liam helped me stand, his arm steadying me. We're getting you to a hospital. Those burns need treatment. Victoria scoffed. Don't be dramatic. It wasn't that hot. Something in Liam snapped. Mrs. Bennet, I've heard enough about your family over the past 2 years. How Emily paid for MIT while you saved for Chloe's future. How you dismiss her achievements but throw parties for Chloe's every whim. He turned to the crowd, his voice carrying. Did you know Emily's been paying your mortgage for 5 years? Through a trust, so you wouldn't feel embarrassed. She knew your bank was struggling, James, and she saved your home without asking for a thank you. The guests gasped. Victoria's face went white. That's absurd, she stammered. James stepped forward, brow furrowed. Emily, is this true? I nodded, my secret laid bare. I didn't want you to lose the house, I whispered. Liam wasn't done. And Chloe, did you know Emily paid off your 50 credit card debt? She told the bank to call it a settlement so you wouldn't feel indebted. Chloe's jaw dropped. That was you? Why didn't you tell me? Liam answered for me. Because she wanted to help, not buy your love. He faced Victoria again. Emily isn't just a CTO. She's a founding partner at Horizon Innovations, with a net worth that'd make your head spin. That 100 from her grandmother? She turned it into millions through smart investments. But you'd never know, because she doesn't flaunt it like you do. Ethan, who'd been hovering, perked up, his eyes gleaming with greed. Chloe never mentioned her sister was that loaded, he said, his tone making my skin crawl. Chloe looked betrayed. Him? Why hide it? I thought you were just scraping by. I met her gaze. Would it have changed how you treated me? Because that's why I kept it quiet. I wanted family, not a transaction. Victoria tried to rally. If we'd known, we'd never have asked for help. It's a misunderstanding. I shook my head, pain throbbing in my burns. No, Mom. You've always seen me as a resource, not a daughter. My value's what I can give, not who I am. James, for once, found his voice. Victoria, is this true? Have we been using Emily? Victoria floundered, unused to his challenge. Don't be ridiculous, James. We love her. Liam guided me toward the door. We're leaving. Emily needs a doctor. As we moved, he turned back. By the way, Mrs. Bennet, our wedding's happening as planned in 6 months. You're welcome to come, if you respect Emily's boundaries. We drove to the ER, my burns screaming with every bump. The doctor confirmed 2nd-degree burns, warning of possible scarring. My phone exploded with messages Chloe's tearful apologies, James's quiet regret, Victoria's insistence it was an accident. Even Ethan texted, pitching a crypto partnership that reeked of opportunism. I turned off my phone, handing it to Liam. I can't deal with this. He squeezed my hand. You don't have to. They can wait. We checked into a hotel, skipping the return to my parents' house. Liam ordered room service, ran a cool bath, and held me as I processed the betrayal. I'm sorry I spilled your secrets, he said later, his voice soft. Seeing you hurt, I couldn't stay quiet. I leaned into him. Maybe it needed to happen. I've been hiding for so long, pretending I have a normal family. It's exhausting. The next morning, I called Rachel for an emergency session. What your mother did was assault, she said bluntly. There's no justifying it. This is an escalation of her control. She helped me map out next steps boundaries, distance, maybe even a restraining order. As we flew back to San Francisco, I got another anonymous text. You escaped this time. Next time, you won't. My blood ran cold. Was it Ethan, desperate for cash? Victoria, unhinged by my defiance? Or someone else, lurking in the shadows of my success? The car explosion replayed in my mind, the ticking under the hood, the gasoline smell. Someone had tried to kill me, and now my family's chaos was a twisted puzzle I had to solve. Chloe's party had exposed more than their greed. It had revealed a threat I couldn't ignore. As Liam drove us home, I stared out at the bay, my burns a painful reminder of the cost of truth. This was only the beginning, and I had no idea what was coming for me next. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and regret, the fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows across my bandaged arms. My face throbbed where the boiling tea had seared my skin, each pulse a reminder of my mother's rage and the public humiliation at Chloe's engagement party. "Second-degree burns," the doctor had said, her voice clinical but kind. "You're lucky it wasn't worse. Keep the dressings clean, and we'll monitor for scarring." Lucky. The word felt like a cruel joke as I lay there, replaying the moment Victoria's hand sent the scalding liquid flying, her eyes wild with something I couldn't naminga, desperation. Maybe both. Liam sat beside me, his jaw tight, his hand gripping mine like an anchor in a storm. My phone buzzed relentlessly on the bedside table, a cascade of texts and voicemails from family, friends, and strangers who'd heard about the incident. I didn't have the strength to look. Not yet. The ER had been a blur of nurses, burn cream, and Liam's steady presence, his voice cutting through my haze of pain to answer the doctor's questions. He'd insisted we stay at a hotel that night, far from the toxic air of my parents' Seattle mansion. As we checked into a sleek downtown suite, the concierge's polite smile faltered at the sight of my bandages, but Liam waved off her concern. "Just get us room service and privacy," he said, his tone leaving no room for questions. In the quiet of our room, he ran a cool bath, gently helping me ease my aching body into the water, his touch careful around the raw patches on my arms. "We'll get through this, Em," he whispered, brushing a damp strand of hair from my forehead. "You're stronger than they'll ever know." I wanted to believe him, but the anonymous text I'd received just before we left the hospital, "You can't outrun your family's sins," clawed at my mind. Someone was still watching, and the car explosion 2 nights ago was no longer a random act in my head. It was personal. By morning, the pain had dulled to a persistent ache, but my thoughts were a tangled mess. I called Dr. Rachel Lee, my therapist, for an emergency session over Zoom. Her face appeared on my laptop screen, her calm demeanor a lifeline. "What Victoria did wasn't just a loss of temper, Emily," she said, her voice steady. "It was assault, physical, emotional, deliberate. You need to protect yourself legally if necessary." I nodded, my throat tight. "She's never gone this far before," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "But it's like she's been building to this my whole life." Rachel leaned forward, her eyes piercing even through the screen. "This is an escalation of her need to control you. The T, the public shaming, it's about power. You've built a life outside her grasp, and that threatens her." She urged me to consider a restraining order and to limit contact with my family until I could process the trauma. "Their reactions aren't your responsibility," she said. "Focus on what you need to heal." Healing felt like a distant dream as I turned my phone back on. The notifications were overwhelming dozens of messages, from Chloe's tearful pleas to Dad's hesitant apologies to Aunt Laura, Victoria's sister, pitching investment opportunities for her son's startup. Even Ethan, Chloe's shady fiancé, had texted, "Heard about the drama. Let's talk crypto synergies, your wealth could open doors." I deleted his message, my stomach churning at his transparent greed. But one voicemail stopped me cold. It was from Sophie, my best friend, her voice urgent. "Em, check your email. Someone leaked a video of the party to TechBuzz. It's going viral, and they're spinning it to make you look like the bad guy. Call me ASAP." My heart sank. I opened my laptop, and there it was, splashed across TechBuzz's homepage. Tech Titans Family Feud. CT2, Emily Carter refuses to fund sister's dream wedding. The grainy video showed Victoria's tirade, edited to cut out the tea-throwing, making me look like a cold, selfish heiress. Comments poured in, calling me heartless and entitled. My professional reputation, built over years of sleepless nights and relentless hustle, was under attack. Liam read the article over my shoulder, his expression darkening. "This is no accident," he said. "Someone fed them that video, and I'd bet my startup it's tied to the threats." My mind flashed to Ethan's crypto cronies, their sly comments about my wealth, and to Victoria's desperation to fund Chloe's wedding. Could one of them have orchestrated this? Or was it someone at Horizon Innovations looking to undermine me? My role as CTO was high profile, and I'd made enemies competitors, disgruntled colleagues, even a board member who'd questioned my rapid rise. Liam grabbed his phone. "I'm calling our PR team. We'll counter this with the truth." I nodded, but dread coiled in my chest. The car explosion, the spiked drink, the tea attack someone was targeting me, and now they'd weaponized my family's dysfunction against me. We flew back to San Francisco that afternoon, the hum of the plane doing little to calm my nerves. At home, our Pacific Heights apartment felt like a fortress under siege. Liam swept the place for bugs, a habit from his startup's early days dodging corporate espionage. "Clear," he said, but his eyes lingered on the windows, scanning the street below. That night, I couldn't sleep, the anonymous texts replaying in my mind. "You can't hide forever." At 3 a.m., I slipped out of bed and checked my security system logs, a habit from my cybersecurity days. What I found stopped my heart-of-failed login attempt on my home network, time-stamped just hours after the party. Someone had tried to hack in, and they weren't amateurs. I woke Liam, showing him the logs. "This isn't just family drama," I said, my voice shaking. "Someone's coming for everything, my company, my life." The next morning I drove to Horizon Innovations, bandages hidden under a long-sleeve blazer, determined to keep my professional life intact. But the office buzzed with whispers, colleagues stealing glances as I passed. My assistant, Maya, pulled me aside. "Emily, there's a problem. Someone leaked our AI prototype specs to TechCrunch. They're calling it a knockoff of NextGen's system." My blood ran cold. Our AI prototype was my baby, a revolutionary cybersecurity tool I'd spent 2 years developing. A leak could tank our valuation and my credibility. "Who had access?" I asked, my mind racing. Maya hesitated. "Only the senior team. And you shared a demo with Ethan Larson at the summit last month, remember? He said he was an investor." Ethan, his greasy charm and crypto synergies, pitch flashed in my mind. Had he been fishing for more than money at Chloe's party? I called an emergency board meeting, bracing for a fight. The boardroom, with its sleek glass table and bay views, felt like a battlefield. Richard Holt, a silver-haired board member who'd always resented my youth, leaned forward. "Emily, this leak is a disaster. Clients are questioning our integrity. There's talk of a vote to replace you as CTO." My stomach dropped. "Replace me? I built that prototype from scratch. If anyone's to blame, it's whoever accessed my files." Richard's eyes narrowed. "Or perhaps you shared sensitive data with the wrong people, like your sister's fiancé." The accusation hit like a slap, and I realized the narrative was shifting. The TechBuzz video, the leak, the threat sit, was a coordinated attack to discredit me. After the meeting, I stormed to my office, pulling up Ethan's digital footprint. His crypto ventures were a house of cards, with lawsuits piling up and investors bailing. Had he targeted me to save himself? Or was Victoria behind this, her rage at my refusal fueling a vendetta? I called Sophie, who was already digging. I found something," she said, her voice tense. "A burner phone linked to the texts you got was purchased in Seattle, near your parents' house. And Ethan's been emailing a guy tied to NextGen. It's not proof, but..." It's suspicious. I thanked her, my mind spinning. Was Ethan working with a rival to sabotage me? Or was Victoria orchestrating this to punish me for defying her? That evening, Chloe showed up at my apartment unannounced, her face pale, her usual sparkle dimmed. "Em, we need to talk," she said, stepping inside before I could protest. She paced my living room, wringing her hands. "Why didn't you tell me you were loaded? All this time I thought you were just a tech nerd scraping by. And you're what, a secret millionaire?" Her voice cracked, a mix of hurt and accusation. I leaned against the counter, my burns aching under the bandages. "Chloe, I paid off your 50 credit card debt. I've been covering Mom and Dad's mortgage for 5 years. I didn't tell you, because I wanted a sister, not a charity case." Her eyes widened, tears spilling. "I didn't know. Mom always said you were struggling, that I was the lucky one." I took a deep breath, Rachel's words echoing. "Their reactions aren't your responsibility. Chloe, why is this about my money and not the fact that Mom threw boiling tea at me?" She flinched, looking away. "Mom says it was an accident, that she was upset about the wedding. But I don't know what to believe anymore. Ethan's acting weird. His parents are pulling out of the wedding, and Mom's losing it." I softened, seeing her confusion. "How do you feel about all this?" I asked, realizing it was the first time I'd ever asked her that. She sank onto my couch, burying her face in her hands. "Guilty. Embarrassed. I never saw how Mom treated you differently. I thought I was just her favorite." It wasn't an apology, but it was raw, honest, a crack in the wall between us. Before I could respond, my security system pinged an unauthorized entry attempt at my apartment's back door. Liam grabbed his phone, pulling up the camera feed. A figure in a hoodie was tampering with the lock, their face obscured. "Stay here," he whispered, grabbing a baseball bat from the closet. My heart raced as I dialed 911, whispering our address. The figure fled when the alarm blared, but not before leaving a note taped to the door. "You can't protect your empire forever." Police arrived, taking the note as evidence, but found no fingerprints. "Could be a prank," the officer said, but his eyes said otherwise. Liam pulled me close. "This is tied to the car explosion, Em. We need to hire private security." I nodded, my mind racing. Was this Ethan, desperate for a payout? Victoria, unhinged by my defiance? Or a corporate rival, exploiting my family chaos? The next day, Dad called, his voice heavy with regret. "Emily, your mother's out of control. Showing up at your office, screaming about betrayal. She's not handling this well." I sighed, my burns itching under the bandages. "Dad," she threw tea in my face. "What am I supposed to do?" He paused, the silence heavy. "I should have stopped her. I've let her run this family into the ground, and I'm sorry. I failed you." It was the first time he'd admitted his role, and it hit harder than I expected. "Are you okay with how she treated me?" I asked. Another pause. "No," he said finally. "I'm not. I'm moving out, Em. I need to figure out who I am without her." It was a small victory, but it felt like a shift in the universe. Victoria, however, doubled down. She showed up at Horizon Innovations, banging on the glass doors until security escorted her out. A bouquet of roses arrived at my apartment with a card. "Families fight, but we always forgive," as if scolding my face was a minor spat. Meanwhile, Chloe's Instagram shifted from wedding plans to cryptic posts about trust and betrayal, with Ethan barely appearing. Rumors swirled that their engagement was crumbling, and I wondered if she was finally seeing him for what he was, a leech in a tailored suit. But the bigger threat loomed. The board vote to oust me as CTO was scheduled for next week, and Richard Holt was rallying support, using the TechBuzz video and the prototype leak to paint me as reckless. If I lost my position, everything I'd built could collapse. Then came the cyber attack. 2 days before the board meeting, Horizon's servers went down, a sophisticated ransomware locking us out. My team worked around the clock, but the hackers left a message: pay 10 million or your prototype goes public. I traced the attack's origin to a server in Eastern Europe, a hotspot for crypto scams. Ethan's name kept surfacing in my mind, his Synergy's pitch now a glaring red flag. I called Sophie, who'd been digging deeper. I found a money trail, she said. Ethan's been funneling cash to a shell company tied to NextGen. It's not proof he's behind the attack, but it's close. I thanked her, my resolve hardening. I wasn't just fighting for my job, I was fighting for my life. The board meeting was a crucible. Richard Holt stood, his voice dripping with condescension. Emily's personal scandals are tanking our reputation. We need a CTO who prioritizes the company, not family drama. I stood, my burns hidden under a tailored suit, my voice steady despite the pain. This company is my life. I built our AI from the ground up, and I'm the one fighting to protect it from leaks and cyber attacks. If you want to talk scandals, let's discuss who's been cozying up to NextGen. I slid a folder across the table, Sophie's research on Ethan's ties to our rival. The room fell silent, Richard's face paling. The vote was unanimous. I stayed, but as I left the boardroom, a new text buzzed. You won this round, but we're not done. The weeks that followed were a tightrope walk. Private security shadowed me, their presence a constant reminder of the threats. Chloe reached out, asking to meet for coffee. Against my better judgment, I agreed. At a quiet cafe in the Mission, she looked differentless, polished, more human. I broke up with Ethan, she said, stirring her latte. He was using me to get to you. His crypto stuff was a scam, and Mom pushed me to stay with him for the image. She paused, tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, Em. I didn't see how Mom used you, how she pitted us against each other. I reached for her hand. A tentative bridge. We're learning, Chloe. Maybe we can start over. She nodded, pulling out a business plan for her new PR firm. I got a loan, no family money. Can you look it over? Not for cash, just advice. I smiled, the first real one in weeks. I'd be honored. Wedding preparations became my sanctuary. Liam and I finalized details for Napa Valley, refusing to let the chaos derail us. Victoria was excluded, her refusal to acknowledge the assault a non-negotiable line. Dad, now living in a small apartment, called to confirm he'd walk me down the aisle. I'm proud of you, Em, he said, his voice breaking. I should have said it sooner. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. The morning of the wedding, as I adjusted my lace veil in a vineyard cottage, a final crisis hit. Maya called, panicked. Another cyber attack. They're targeting our client data this time. I grabbed my laptop, hard pounding, and traced the attack while in my wedding dress. It was a decoy, a distraction, but I neutralized it just as the ceremony began. The Napa Valley sunset painted the sky in gold and crimson, waves crashing faintly in the distance. Dad walked me down the aisle, his hand steady, his eyes misty. Liam waited under a floral arch, his smile grounding me. Our vows were simple, raw, a promise to face whatever came together. Chloe, in a sage green bridesmaid dress, handed me Margaret's sapphire necklace, a family heirloom she'd borrowed from Victoria. Grandma would have wanted you to have it, she whispered. The reception was joy untainted by the past friends laughing, Dad's heartfelt toast, Chloe dancing with Liam's cousin, her smile free of pretense. As Liam and I swayed to our first dance, he whispered, Happy? I nodded, tears falling. This is us, choosing our future. Later, Chloe found me by the vineyard's edge, the moon casting shadows over the grapes. I've been talking to Mom, she said, her voice cautious. She's starting therapy, but I'm not saying you have to forgive her. I just thought you should know. I nodded, unsure how to feel. Thanks, Chloe. We sat in silence, the night air cool against my skin. I've been thinking about money, she said. How it twisted our family. Mum's obsession with status hurt us both, just differently. You fought it by hiding your success. I leaned into it, thinking it made me special. I squeezed her hand. We're breaking that cycle now. She pulled out a business plan, the pages worn from her nervous handling. Lunch next week? To go over this? I smiled. It's a date. As Liam and I left amid sparklers and cheers, I carried not just the joy of our union, but the clarity of a life built on my terms. The threats lingered. Whoever sabotaged my car, hacked my systems, and stole my documents was still out there. Was it Ethan, desperate to save his failing empire? Victoria, unraveling as her control slipped? Or a corporate rival, using my family as pawns? The answers were shadows, but I wasn't afraid anymore. The tea, the explosion, the betrayal they'd burned away the last of my need for approval. I was Emily Carter, survivor of my family's chaos, architect of my own empire, and I was ready for whatever came next.